Welcome to Rediscovering Your Passion and Purpose with Patty. I am your host, Patty Stulen, and I am the Chief Pathfinder of Pathways with Patty. And today is a guest that I have been waiting many months to have on this podcast. And because of her schedule and my schedule, it wasn't matching up. But guess what? Today is that day that she is here. And my guest today is Debora Hollick. She is a #1 best-selling author, an award-winning sales trainer, and productivity facilitator. She helps businesses and professionals achieve remarkable results. Her unique approach will help you create a selfie of a different sort, shifting your thoughts and boosting productivity to new heights. In her customized sessions, she shares her own proven research methodology. Man, I am just having a little tongue-tied here. But it's because I'm excited Debora's here. That's the bottom line. I mean, I don't know how else to say it, but she shares her own proven research methodology on how thought equals performance. Clients describe their experience with Debora in this way. It feels like receiving a warm energy hug while also receiving a gentle kick in the pants. Debora is the accomplished author of the anthology book, Live Life in Wow, Nuggets of Wonder, Openness, and Wisdom, and has contributed to other inspiring books. Get ready to hear how you can unleash your true potential, experience a remarkable transformation, and skyrocket your productivity with Debora, the smash through mentor. Debora, welcome to Rediscovering Your Passion and Purpose. I, as you can tell already, am excited that you are here today. How are you?
I'm great, Patty. Thank you so much for having me on. And I'm sorry it's been so long, but I'm so happy we're here together today.
Well, I just look at that as being a good thing, that both of us are really being productive in our businesses and where we are helping other people and we're making our part of the world just a little bit better than it was the day before, right?
We try.
Exactly. Well, let's get into how you have discovered your passion and purpose. I know that through your journey, because I have read your story, I have also heard you share your story on different platforms, but I really would like for our audience to know where is it that you've come from on your journey? What are some of those challenges and obstacles that have brought you here with us today?
Well, I've been around the block a time or two, so I have a few of those.
Mm-hmm.
So I I come from a rural background. I grew up on a farm, and I always wanted to, get out and work for some reason. And I left home at about 16 and a half. With my parents' blessing. I had to do some major negotiating with my father. My mother wasn't having anything to do with it. You talk to your father. And I realized in my, as I got older and, got into sales and sales training, I realized that it was really a gift I had, because if I could sell my father on the idea of letting me leave home,
Yes.
I could do anything.
Yeah, that's a good measuring stick, isn't it?
Yeah, so I had a really good job offer, when I was that age, and I just really wanted to do it, and it was wonderful. I mean, it served me so well in my life and whatnot. So that's kind of where I started, and so then I got into working in law firms for many years as a paralegal, legal secretary, and that was a very challenging, busy, but again, a career that has served me in so many ways in personal and business,
Mm-hmm.
because I learned so much. I was very blessed to have bosses that shared their knowledge, that taught us, didn't
Wow.
just tell us to do the work. They
Right.
taught us about the law. They taught us things that were practical that we needed to know.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I worked at a college as well. And I found when I worked at the college was my first experience of someone who I guess they were just threatened by who I was.
Mm,
And I didn't do anything, except that I'm a strong personality. I have confidence. I had confidence. And, so it was someone who had become my friend
mm-hmm.
and then turned on me.
Oh.
And I thought, whoa, like, um, I haven't, and I literally said this, which left a few people shaking in the office when I said, I haven't seen your name on my paycheck. And until I do, I don't think I have to take orders from you.
Wow.
Didn't go over very well.
But good for you standing up for yourself, because a lot of people just would have crumbled into little pieces, and but you did not do that. You stood up for yourself.
Well, I felt I had to because nobody else was going to do it.
Exactly.
But I'll tell you, there were some people in the office that like my desk mate, our desks faced each other. She was shaking. She was like really nervous. And I thought, well, whatever. I was looking for a job when I found this one. I'm not too worried. I applied for 4 jobs, got all 4. So I think I can find a job, no problem. If I get fired. So
And they're
that
also thinking, don't mess with Deborah.
so that was my first experience with a bully in the office.
Mm,
And then, I'm a believer that we take ourselves where we last left us. So didn't
mm,
I take that vibration to the next job where there was also an office bully? Now, she happened to be the senior secretary,
mm,
and she was just well, she just stopped talking to you for months on end. And there was no reason. One day she wanted to go for lunch, and then she stops talking to you, and then 3 months later she'll say, let's go for lunch. Pardon me.
you have, you haven't talked to me in months, and now you want to go to lunch?
Well, that's what I said. And then me, as stuff just comes out of my mouth. So I just said to her, why would I want to go for lunch with you? Like, again, didn't go over very well. I got to learn to finesse my words maybe a little more.
Oh.
So yeah, so that's a little bit from where I come from. And when I was at that law firm, it was extremely, extremely busy.
Mm-hmm.
So it became I actually ended up in with burnout there,
Mm-hmm.
and well on my way to, where my doctor threatened to hospitalize me if I didn't speak to my boss.
Wow.
And when I look back on it, I realized that, I took it all on. I took that on. I didn't have to do a lot of what I was doing, but I
Mm-hmm.
felt like I did.
Right.
And, when I did talk to the senior partner who, obviously ran the firm, he said that's not for you to be worried about. You don't have to be worried about that.
Mm-hmm.
He said, that's my problem. And I thought,
Wow.
oh, okay, well, I don't know, it sure has been feeling like mine. But anyway, after that, I decided that I needed something that brought me joy.
Yes.
I loved being at work. I loved my work, but it was very stressful. So then I got into lingerie sales by home
Oh,
prayer.
wow. That's quite a detour.
Well, I did them both for many years.
Okay.
And but it was fun because I could take all that stress from work, and when I go to do a party with women or couples, we laughed so hard, so hard. There was many, 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 many a night where I'd say, okay, stop laughing because I have cramps in my cheeks. And then of course we just all laugh a whole lot more, right? But I built a very successful business doing that as well. And that was one of my turning points where
Mm,
I thought, okay, I really like doing this. This is fun. And, I'm basically not even working full time with that business. And
mhm.
I'm making as much or more than I am full time at the law firm. And we were paid well at our law firm. I have to tell you that we were paid very well
Wow.
way back then. And I'm talking, back in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
So I made a deal with myself and I said, okay, self, if you are making more money part-time than you are full-time for a consecutive period of 6 months, you can quit your job.
Okay.
And that's what I did.
Good for you. Wow. That's impressive.
Thank you.
Because I think a lot of people they think, well, I've got to stick with a job that's a real job. Even if I'm burnt out and I'm miserable in it, because it's a real job, I have to stay with it. And what you did is what people would consider not to be, I don't want to say a real job, but you took something that you found joy in and you turned it into something that was even better than the real job that you had. And that's daring. And like I talk about living your best dash and D standing for daring. That's daring to imagine something greater than what you are in, especially when you know that you're experiencing burnout with that.
Right. Yeah, and at the time I was working 3 jobs. So like because I was also caretaker of the building I lived in. So I had a lot on my plate. And so it was when I was able to let that part go, it was a big relief. I missed it, I had to say. I did miss
Mm-hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm.
But I was having so much fun and traveling, and it's a direct sales business, so you brought other people in, and I always just felt like I loved it so much because I could fit that business into someone's lifestyle for them if they were interested, and I could
Mm-hmm.
help them have a business of their own, moms that were at home with kids but
Mm.
needed some extra money. And like you say, we've talked about your podcast and the friends that you've made through your podcast. Well, I have so many friends from being in that business
Wow.
who, even some of them who came, to work with me later in another business that I had.
Mm-hmm.
And, that we're still close friends and great acquaintances, even some, but, some where, been friends for so many years, they're family.
Right.
They're not friends anymore, they're family.
Mm-hmm.
So, we look at that part of it, and I just think it was kind of a magical time and just so much fun. There was work involved, of course, but
Sure.
it was just so much fun. And I really felt, it may sound a little odd, but I felt that with doing the parties and women buying things for themselves, or, to
Mm-hmm.
be together, they always felt so good about themselves. And that's what I always tried to do, was focus on them. My,
Right.
my, my parties were about them, had
Mm-hmm.
nothing to do with me. It was about them and how much fun they had. And how, when they were wearing nice lingerie, how empowered they felt.
Sure.
And, whether they were in the boardroom or the bedroom. So
Mm-hmm.
it was, and I always kind of sort of believed that, you got a happy mom, you got kind of happy family, you've got a happy, and you get
Yes.
a happier community. You just get happier, everybody. So,
Yeah.
um, that saying, the people used to say, oh, happy wife, happy life. Well, whether you're a wife or you're not, doesn't matter. If you're happy, that's what matters.
And it affects your life when you're
Oh,
happy.
every part, and whether
Yes.
we're single or whether we're not. And one of the greatest gifts I ever received, I think, in my whole life to this day, was at one of the parties. And there was a woman there. She was extremely shy and very quiet. And I kind of felt she didn't like me. She didn't say much, she didn't talk to me. So I kind of thought, well, I'll just back off, like I don't want to intrude on
Mm-hmm.
whatever, maybe she
Mm-hmm.
doesn't like me. So lots of people don't like me. Oh,
We're
well,
not we're not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay.
for sure. So when I used to do my orders in a separate room, because they were private, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she came into the room to order. And I thought, that's nice. So we were chatting, and she said, how come you didn't ask me if I wanted a party? Because you ask everybody, would they like to have a show of their own, right? A party of their own. And I said, well, I wanted to. I said, but I didn't know if you would be comfortable with that. And so I said, I just didn't want to intrude. And she said, no, she said, I would really like to have a party. She said, I'm not this quiet when I'm amongst my friends. And I went, oh, okay. I said, well, I would love to do a party with you and your friends. So that's how it went. And she said to me after, at her party, she said, I really want to thank you, because she said, I actually came there to say goodbye to everybody because I was going to commit suicide. And
Oh
she said, I
man.
had so much fun. She said, I had no desire.
You just never know, huh?
And
Uh,
that to me was such a gift because it proves to me, and I hope to others, that we just never know what's going on with other people. And we never know how we affect someone else,
mm-hmm.
intentionally or unintentionally.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a huge gift for me.
Wow, what a great blessing. So one of the questions I have for you, have you always had, as far back as you can remember, a passion for helping other people?
I think so. I think so. I think in school and whatnot, I was always helping somebody with something. You
Mm-hmm.
know, uh, one of my gifts seems to be that, channel in a way that words come out that seem to help people at the time. Um, Sometimes I don't even know why I'm saying them. I don't know who's saying them,
Mm-hmm.
but they seem to be what people need at the time. At least that's what I'm told. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, it's something that I treasure and has never let me down yet. So yeah, I think I always have been.
So from the lingerie parties, how did you eventually lead into what brought you to becoming the smash through mentor? How did that all come about?
Well, I left the lingerie industry because the owners decided to get, in my opinion, a bit greedy.
Mm,
And we just weren't making money anymore. They changed how we were being paid. I stuck with them for a long time and it just was terrible. And finally, I just had to get out. I wasn't,
mm-hmm.
I was costing me money to go to work.
Mm,
So that was what it was. And I was about 2 weeks away from being homeless at that point.
wow.
So, speaking of helping people, I had helped my younger sister get her condo, buy her condo. So, and I, pride goeth before the fall, as they say. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody how desperate things were
Mm-hmm.
until finally I kind of needed a place to live. And my lease was it, I mean, everything fell into place. My lease was up, everything was, I wasn't leaving any, loose strings. And so I finally told my younger sister, and she said, well, you'll just move in with me. And I said, well, no, you just got your place. I said, I don't want to be raining on your parade. And she said, oh, stop it. She said, you let me live with you. If, while I was saving to get my place, she said, you'll just come and live with me. So that's what I did. I had a very tiny room. There was not 1 square inch of a wall that didn't have something up against it or beside it. Slept on a cot for 3 years.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
but I ended up, because of the expertise I gained in the lingerie industry, I was able to turn that into helping a friend, someone I was dating actually. He was starting a new business and I was able to help him get appointments and things because I knew how to get indoors and I knew how to talk to people.
Mm.
And so I helped him grow his business exponentially in a very short period of time. Well, then a friend said, oh, you know what you're doing for, Ron, you should do for, my friend. She's, her sister just opened a business. You should talk to her. So I said, well, I could talk to her, I guess. And was kind of, feeling things out, not knowing what I wanted to do. And so then I met Brenda, and then Brenda and I became best friends, like from, the minute we met. And so I worked with her and we were doing very well, but then she got a job offer. So she said she just could, I can't not take it. And so
Mm-hmm.
she decided to close her business. And so doesn't she get to the new place and she decides to she didn't even ask me. We laugh about this to this day, but she just decided to tell the general manager and the sales manager about me.
Oh.
So she tells me after, I think you're going to get a phone call.
Get ready.
So sure as heck, I get a phone call from the general manager and, well, can you come in today? No, I can't come in today, but I could come on Monday. So I went and he wanted me to start right then and there. And so I started working with them. And at that point I would go in to their office. And what I did is I started booking appointments for their salespeople and for anybody who needed to go out and see things. Well, the company was growing so fast. I didn't have my own desk, so I'd move. This salesperson would be out, I'd move to their desk. Then that one would come back, I'd move to it. Then I'd be in the boardroom. Well, somebody needed the boardroom. Finally, I said, I think you really need to let me work at home because I'm spending your money moving my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
they agreed with that. And of course, I was able to be much more productive. And and to the point where they started recommending me to clients. And so that's how my marketing business got started. So that was
Oh
my
my
other career.
gosh. Wow.
And it just landed in my lap and stayed there for 20 some years. And I had been doing some speaking and whatnot on the Curlium photography that I did. And which brings me to the thought equals performance.
Mm,
And I was a paid speaker back then. And then when this all landed in my lap, it was like, okay, you're kind of split here. So you got to decide. And so I went with the lucrative business that enabled me to have, many contractors working. And I still worked with my clients and helped train their people and so on and so forth. So that's kind of full
mm-hmm.
circle. We got there.
Wow. Um, through all of it, I know that there were probably people along the way that I use the term yuck your wow. When, you would be excited that, oh, I'm going to be doing this, or I'm thinking about doing that. And they go, well, what do you want to do that for? Or is that really a wise thing to do? When you have had people and when you continue to have people that yuck your wow, how do you respond to them?
Well, for instance, a good example of that is when I was leaving the law firm. And people had said to me at different, I remember one person in particular said to me, "You're going to quit your job here to sell panties?" And I went, "Well, I kind of don't sell a lot of panties, so no, but I am going to sell lingerie because, it works.
Mm-hmm.
And, just watch me, have you met me? That's one of my lines. Have you met me?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a pretty determined person.
Mm-hmm.
If I want something, universe supplies
Mm-hmm.
happens. So yeah, there's always somebody who says, don't do this or don't do that, or why are you doing this or why are you doing that? And I sometimes I've learned for some things just to keep quiet. Just don't
Mm-hmm.
tell people in the beginning
Mm-hmm.
because I don't need their vibration mixed in with mine,
Mm-hmm. You're
especially if
right.
it's negative. So I'll only talk to, I only tell people about certain things when I know that that person's going to support me unconditionally. And,
Right.
and I'm very blessed. I'm very blessed because I do have a plethora of people in my life who do support me.
Mm-hmm. I know that you're a big, speaking, you just said the thing about people's vibration. I know that some of the things that you've touched on are things like energy and law of attraction. Uh, please tell our audience when you're talking about vibration or the energy and law of attraction, what that means to you and what that means for others.
Well, I do believe that law of attraction is the kind of biggest law in the universe, and everything, all the other laws kind of follow under it. And I believe that we attract where we're vibrating at. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I that's a very easy thing to prove to any of us.
Mm-hmm.
People go, "Oh, I don't believe that." Well, prove it to yourself. You don't need to
Mm-hmm.
listen to me. I
Mm-hmm.
don't believe me.
Mm-hmm.
Believe yourself, because if we look at I can go back through my life now that I'm hopefully, well, I'm certainly older, but hopefully I'm a little wiser as well. And I can look back and say, okay, here's what my emotional state of being was at that time when that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Even the part where the remuneration was changed and I had to get out of business and I was almost homeless. I know what vibration I was in, and it wasn't pretty.
Mm-hmm. Right. And so that's what you were attracting.
Exactly. More of it. Of
Right.
course. You complain,
Yes.
you whine, even if you think you're just saying things. Oh, I've just stated that. I just said it. You said it, and we hear everything we tell ourselves. And
Mm-hmm.
it's all there, right? For
Mm-hmm.
the universe goes, oh, uh, she doesn't want this. Oh, well, they don't hear the doesn't. It's not a no universe, it's a yes universe.
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. I agree
So,
with you.
so if we're focused on the negative, I can pretty much guarantee you you're going to get more negative. Maybe not of that thing you're thinking of, but something.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it's that saying, karma, what goes around comes around. What you put out in the universe comes back to you. And so if negative is what you are putting out and you're wondering why nothing good is coming your way, right there, that's proof right there. That's all you're getting back is negative. It's like that thing about hurt people. And they want to know why, well, nothing's going good for me. Well, because you just keep putting the negativity and you keep hurting people. Change that scenario around and watch what happens. I
Exactly.
mean,
The
that,
narrative needs to change.
yes, I mean, because that's the proof in the pudding right there, what you just said. You don't have to listen to you or me. Really try it out for yourself and see what a difference it makes by putting out that positive or those good vibrations. And the other thing too, going along with that, Deborah, I know that you've mentioned this already, but it is amazing that when we put those good intentions or the things that we want, those vibrations out in the universe, for me, my source is God. He all of a sudden this person just happens along on my path's journey that just happens to be someone that can help me with whatever that dilemma is or whatever that thing is that I want to do next or learn about next.
And it's
Don't
an
you also, isn't that also a part of law of attraction? Those are the
oh,
people that you attract.
for sure. Absolutely. And circumstances. And now there is something called momentum that I think we need to address because
Hmm.
people want to take, they say, okay, well, I've been positive now for 33 seconds. So why haven't I got my lottery? Well, because you've been whining about money for a very long time. And so it's going to take a little while to catch up. And it may not come in the form of a lottery. You don't always get to pick the way it comes, but
Correct.
just stay focused on what you want. And
Yes.
and sometimes it's really hard to do that. And I know that as I look back on my life and some of the horrendous, I've had some horrendous things happen to me in my life. And when I look back and I think, okay, yeah, you need to take responsibility for that.
Hmm.
Was it fear? Was it anger? Was it, and could have been a combination and all those things. And when you give all that up, and we have to have contrast. I mean, we have to be able to
Oh,
make decisions.
yes.
So our lives are not going to be just perfect all the time.
No.
Oh my God, can you think about how boring that would be?
Oh, exactly. Yes.
If you and
Well,
I were having this conversation, oh, how are you, Patty? Oh, I'm wonderful. How are you, Deborah? Oh, I'm wonderful too. Now, what do we talk about?
yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yes. But I think that the big difference is because I know that I've had some people, oh, positive Patty, you just see life through rose-colored glasses. No, I don't. What I do see though is that when the negative and when the challenges and the obstacles happen, I do have my pity party and I'll pitch a tent and maybe I'll even set my alarm for you get to have a pity party for this long. Feel it, absorb it, whatever you want, but then you figure out what's the lesson learned and pull up your big girl panties and let's get moving here. That's the difference. And if people want to look at that as seeing life through rose-colored glasses, no. Because reality is there's going to be stress, there's going to be negative things that happen. It's all in how we respond to it. Do we just lay down and die and give up? Or do we lay there for a few seconds, catch our breath, get up, and let's take that first step forward again? That's the difference.
Exactly. Exactly. And that, Patty, that's kind of what the basis of Live Life in Wow, the book, Nuggets of Wonder, Openness, and Wisdom is about.
Mm-hmm.
Because the WOW is an acronym for wonder, openness, and wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
And so just like you said, you might have a little pity party for, I don't encourage people to do it very long. Don't do it for longer than 17 seconds, because you're starting to attract it at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But WOW stands for wonder, openness, and wisdom. And so when we can take every experience, good, bad, ugly, or indifferent, and find what is the wow. So what's the wonder in that experience? What did it open you up to? What's the openness of it? And what is the wisdom that you gleaned?
Mm-hmm.
And when we can start looking at life, to me, in that way, all of those experiences, every experience becomes something of wonder.
Yes. Yes.
And that's what the message that I'm wanting to share with the world, that, let's start thinking in that format
Mm-hmm.
more and more and more.
Well, and through that method, that is also encouraging people to own their own stuff. To not blame, well, because of so and so or because of this, not making excuses, but when you are really when you're really using the WOW method, you're owning your stuff. Correct?
Oh, for sure. For sure. And sometimes that's really hard, Patty.
Oh,
Like,
yes.
when stuff has happened to us, may I give you an example?
Please do.
So one of the chapters that I've written in one of the Blue Talks books is called Listen to the Whispers or Get the 2x4. And I'm a real big believer, and call it God, call it spirit, call it universe. I don't care what you call it. To me, it's the same. I've coined a word called spirit G, because
Mm-hmm.
it's spirit and energy to me is the same. I,
Mm-hmm.
I believe in it all.
Mm-hmm.
So I have written this chapter because I've had many 2x4s. In fact, I say I'm kind of an expert in that area. That's how come I can share it now with other people. But one of the biggest instances was back in 2015. And I was scheduled to have surgery. And I had a lot going on in my life. I had to put my stepdad in a home. I had, there was just so much that I was dealing with. I was stressed to the limit. And I knew, and I was getting lots of nudges not to have the surgery right then. But I'd been in pain for 9 straight years.
Mm.
And so I'm going, oh, you're just being silly. Like, stop it, stop it, you know. And my stepdad said to me the night before, my dad, and he was my stepdad, but I call him my dad.
Mm-hmm.
He said to me, Deborah, don't have that surgery tomorrow. He said,
Oh.
it's not going to be good like the last one.
Oh.
Now I had been hearing that. I didn't hear that it wasn't, I was just getting not to have it, but I was overriding it. And then he said that to me, and I'm thinking, okay, how can I not have this surgery? The surgical team is ready to go in the morning. I'm scheduled for 8 o'clock. Somebody else could have had that spot. Like, how dare you
Mm-hmm.
just think you should just cancel? And I overrode it, and I had that surgery.
Oh.
So I ended up, long story short, with one of those, what they call superbugs, little gift from the operating room.
Oh.
So I ended up 2 weeks later having to have another surgery to wash out all of that. It was a hip replacement that I had. And they thought they got it all. But as we know, a microspeck of bacteria,
Mm-hmm.
can just do its thing. And I
Mm-hmm.
ended up being in the hospital for 23 days in a private room with my own infectious disease doctor,
Oh
all
my
because
goodness.
I didn't listen. I wasn't at a high vibration to have surgery. I overrode. And so, you don't listen to the whispers, you get the 2x4. And I
Mm-hmm.
was very, 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 very sick. And I got to the point where they had trouble finding medication that I could take, because I do have some challenges with medication. And I finally said to my doctor, I said, one of 3 things is going to happen here. I said, either you're going to be able to find me a drug, which I know we're getting to the bottom of the barrel. I said, or my body's going to figure out how to get rid of this on its own. I said, or I'm going to die. So whatever works, I'm good.
Wow.
Yeah. So not listening to the whispers
Mm-hmm.
can have some very dire consequences. And I think when people look back and they examine their own stuff, we can see
Mm-hmm.
what were my whispers. And there's good whispers too.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Like there's lots, thank God, I think there's more good whispers than bad,
Right.
at least for me. And
Right.
I hope that's the way for everyone.
Yes.
But but yeah, and I mean, I could make you a list of my little, some big 2x4s, some little smaller.
But like you said, with the wow method, basically, the or going in it with that idea in mind, you now have taken those thoughts, those whispers, and learned the wisdom from that 2x4 hitting you, and knowing, okay, as I move forward, I'm gonna start listening. I'm gonna pay attention to those things and not just ignore them.
Exactly. And I've gotten much, much, much better. I'm not perfect at it. I don't think any of us ever will
No,
be. But
no.
I hope that, if your audience hears that they realize that, we've got to listen to those nudges, that gut feeling, that whispers, whatever you want to call it, call it. But
Mm,
just I really encourage people. And like I say, for the good and the bad, the
sure.
nudges, they don't tell us don't do something. They just tell us, and then they try to steer us in a different direction. They don't say don't go there. They say come over here. And there's a
Exactly.
difference. Like they
Yes.
don't say don't cross the street in front of the bus. They say stay on the sidewalk for a minute.
Exactly. Yeah. No, exactly.
Right here, right now,
Well, and a couple of people last night that I was with, they were talking about how how you put your trust in certain things, and how it may be you don't understand why you were getting ready to go out someplace, and you get in the car, and then, oh, I forgot my wallet. So then you go back and you have to get your wallet, and then when you get back in the car, that maybe your car didn't start or there was something else, and then as you head to your destination, there was this horrible accident that had happened that you could have very easily been involved in. And then you start thinking, wow, was that the universe because I forgot my wallet or my car wasn't starting? I mean, those are all things you really do have, that I anyways take into consideration, that is the way that the universe sometimes is talking to me and letting me know, we're protecting you here. We're watching out for you.
Exactly. Exactly. That's 100%. We've heard stories where there's been major disasters where somebody has said, well, I was supposed to be on that plane
Mhm. Yes.
and I missed it. I
Mhm.
slept in, my alarm didn't go off.
Right. Yes.
The tragedy of 9/11. How many stories we heard from people saying, I, was supposed to be at work that day and I didn't feel good, or
Mhm.
I missed my subway, or, like
Yes.
whatever it was, there was something orchestrating a different outcome because it
Mhm.
wasn't that person yet.
Mhm. And I like to take it a step further, knowing that it wasn't my time. That meant that I am here for a specific reason and a purpose, to help make this world a little bit better. So how is it, okay, if I was privileged enough to stay here and yet these people weren't, what can I do to help promote the goodness, promote the things that maybe they weren't able to finish out, or that I can carry on, or I can do in their place, or any of those things. I know many people are like, oh, well, I don't want to tell my age. I gladly tell everybody I'm 63 years old. And the reason that I do that is because I had friends in high school that never got to graduate high school because they had passed away in a car accident or whatever the case may be. They didn't see their 21st birthday, their 40th, or whatever it is. So I know with my life that it is a blessing and a privilege to say my age and to let people know you're never too old to continue to learn things and to grow and discover and to help put good out into the world.
I agree. I'm one too that I'm never afraid to say how old I am. I've earned every wrinkle, I've earned everything.
Yes.
I'm proud of it. I'm proud to say that I'm still, I feel I have a lot longer to go. I
Mm-hmm.
feel that, I've gleaned much information from many, many people and sources and mentors and books and just everything. And when we're
Mm-hmm.
sponges and we want to learn and grow, as you've said many times, and we all talk about that. You never stop learning.
No,
Why would you?
exactly. There's so much out there.
exactly.
Well, and what I love what you do when you work with people, Deborah, is it goes along with what is on the screen. So those of you that are watching on YouTube right now, you can see, and if you're listening, Deborah is known as the Smash Through Mentor, and in essence, that's really what you do when you work with people. You are helping them to smash through whatever their thing is. I mean, and we all need that. Sometimes it's just a tune up, but sometimes we need somebody to help us to smash through our stuff. And you're somebody that does that.
Well, I try, and sometimes I need it too,
Oh, we all do.
that's, my moniker. Doesn't mean that I don't need people to help me sometimes get through my stuff. We all need to help each
Mhm.
other up. And when
Yes.
we're focused on that, when we're focused on the wow, when we're focused on looking for good, if we are looking for something, it's surprising how often we find it.
Hmm. Yes.
So I'm a believer that there's power in decision.
Hmm.
And when we decide we're going to do something, it's like you say, that person appears, that job appears, that whatever it is, that information just happens to be there.
Hmm.
And sometimes we're not in the same vibration to see some of it,
Right.
you
Right.
know? And a little story about my sister's best friend, and she lost her necklace that her mother had given her for her 16th birthday, and
Mm.
she was devastated. And so she phoned my younger sister, and we were living together at the time, and she phoned her at work, and she said, call Deborah at home. Deborah's at home. Call her because she'll know what to tell you. So her friend calls me, who of course I knew quite well. And I said to her, you know, Peggy, one of two things is supposed to be here. I said, either you're supposed to release that necklace for whatever reason, that it's not serving you anymore, or you're going to find it.
Mm.
So I said, there's only one of two things. So I said, I think you just need to bless it and release it right now. And if it comes back, you're gonna be happy.
Hmm.
So that was that. And the next morning she calls us at 6 a.m. 6 o'clock in the morning. And she's ecstatic. She said, I had a flood in my kitchen. And we're going, who, who are you and what have you done with me? And she said, and I found my necklace. She said, because of the flood, she said, the water was everything. And there it was floating on top of my kitchen mat. She said, and I couldn't see it. And she said, I would have shook it out.
Oh my goodness.
So there you go. She
See?
left the tap running and had the sink plugged, and unfortunately she was hard of hearing, so she didn't hear it, and she ended up with a flood in her kitchen, and she was ecstatic. Had to do some damages repairs, but she was ecstatic.
But she had that necklace.
Exactly. So you just don't know how it's going to come, but isn't it
No.
wonderful that, she could look back and just be, who cares that there's water everywhere? She
Yeah.
had her necklace. So,
Yes. But I mean that's really what we have been talking about is it's just changing that perspective because she could have very easily focused on the fact that her kitchen was flooded and now she had all of this water damage and all this other kind of stuff. But it was the change of perspective about the necklace that made everything else okay.
yep. Exactly. And she could replace everything that had to be replaced and clean everything else. That necklace to her was irreplaceable.
Right. Yes.
And so what was she focused on? She wanted to find that necklace.
And
She
the
wanted,
universe helped her, didn't it?
and they just delivered in spades.
Wow, that's incredible. Deborah, what would you say is probably the best piece of advice anyone has ever given you?
I think the best piece of advice and sort of the direction that I was led was with Dr. Agnes Krawick, who was my mentor and taught me everything I know about curling photography and taught me about thoughts.
Mm.
So she and Abraham Hicks has played a big part in my life. And but yeah, she was amazing. Agnes was so wonderful. She shared so much information with us, and it was just she was our go-to, and she was just wise and happy and positive all the time. And if you phoned her and your vibration was low, like, don't think you were going to call and talk to her and complain, because she'd go, "Oh, gotta go, bye." And she'd hang up.
She didn't want your vibration.
She would not accept it from anyone. And that, it was just priceless. I never heard the woman ever complain. And she was just a gem. So,
So what words of wisdom did she give you that have carried on with you?
well, she taught me about thoughts, like, and
Gotcha.
visually
Okay.
seeing the thoughts in
Gotcha.
picture
Okay.
format. And when she first did my picture, it wasn't pretty. It was
Mm.
really ugly. It's the auras around the fingertips were broken and black, and just low energy. And I really didn't think that that's what I was emitting to the world. But
Mm-hmm.
let me tell you, it gave me a checkup from the neck up, I'll tell you, quickly. And
Wow.
and I realized, okay, you have a responsibility here. You need to change this. Nobody can change this for you. You need to change the way you think and the
Because
way.
now you had something visual to prove it.
Exactly. And that's one of the things I love to share with people when I'm teaching corporate, or, on stage as a keynote. I like to show the pictures um, of what thoughts look like. Because
Yeah.
when you see that, you can't unring that bell.
Wow.
And it's powerful. It's powerful and it's life-changing. And I did a study years ago in business, which is why one of the reasons I like to focus on showing corporate what thoughts look like and thoughts equal performance,
Mm-hmm.
is because I did this study and it was life altering for the people. It was,
Wow.
I interviewed 25 of them, and I did their pictures before and after, and with just a slight tweak of what their thoughts were. Now, you need to know, I didn't know what their thoughts were.
Right.
I
Right.
gave them, think a normal thought, a happy thought, a frustrating thought, and a perfect thought, whatever that was to them, in 4 different exposures on the same film. And only they knew what they thought. And so when they saw it and I read the photo for them, they got it. So with a slight tweak, without me knowing, I'd say, well, okay, let's take this frustrating thought here. What is in your mind? Can you shift that to just be a little bit different? Could we say something different about that? And I'd say, just think about it. Don't tell me. And then I took their second picture with the same questions: normal, happy, frustrating, perfect. And they could see the difference in their energy. And that to me it's powerful.
Yes, that is very powerful. Wow. What is that photography called again?
Called Kirlian,
Curly.
Kirlian. It's been around a long time. But the problem with me now is my camera, which of course I still have, but Polaroid and Fuji stopped making the film. So I
Oh.
can't actually take the pictures. Now there are Aura cameras out there for full body, and you can take a picture of something or your finger or whatever. But I haven't found one yet that does the 4 exposures like that one did.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hopefully someday, because it's fun to do, it's life-changing for people. And I presented the findings of that study at a world conference several years ago, and people were astounded, and they still
Wow.
are. It's as relevant today as it was then, maybe more,
Wow.
maybe more.
That's incredible. Wow. That's really cool. So, Deborah, what would you say that you're passionate about personally and professionally right now?
Well, definitely living in the wow.
Mm-hmm.
Live life in wow, and finding the wonder, the openness, and the wisdom. And that's what the first book was about. That's what the second in the series is about. And these are true stories of people who've had things happen to them, and have found the wow on the other side of it, and come out the other side.
Mm-hmm.
So it's powerful. And so that is one. And also showing people what thoughts look like. I'm very passionate about that.
Yeah. But I mean, that's very powerful because people need to know how powerful that is. It can control us body, mind, and soul. It affects all of it.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. It affects everything. And I believe it's Mike Dooley with that says, thoughts become things, think the good ones. Yeah.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
and when we look at it, Patty, we can choose, and we do choose what our thoughts are.
hmm
When we're angry, we really are making that choice. Anger isn't really controlling us. We're controlling it, but we like to say, you made me so mad, or that made me so mad. Well, we're choosing to be mad.
Exactly. Yes.
We're
Yes.
choosing anger. We're choosing sadness. We're choosing all the time. We're
hmm
choosing.
hmm
Even when we don't do something, we're making a choice.
Yes. Going right along with that, there was an incident that happened within the last month, and people kept saying, "Oh, aren't you mad about that? Aren't you angry about that?" And one of the things that, in my morning devotionals and other things that I've been reading, of course, it's the vibration that I'm putting out because I don't want to be mad. I don't want to be angry. And what I've been getting reinforced with the words, the wisdom that has been coming my way is that when you let that anger, that pride, whatever you want to call it, fill you up, then there is no room for anything good to come to you. The only person that you are hurting in that situation is yourself. You're not hurting that other individual that you're angry with or you're mad at. You are hurting you. And when you have filled yourself up mentally, spiritually, uh, all of that stuff, that clogs you up. That hurts you. I don't want to do that. I don't want to go there with that. Uh, I could be disappointed, but I'm not going to be angry, and I refuse to be mad because it's not serving me in a way that is positive for me to be able to move forward, to have genuine good relationships with somebody else. Somebody doesn't want to associate with me or whatever it is, that's on them. I wish them well. And then I move on and keep going.
And here's the other thing, Patty, with things like that is sometimes people can't.
Yes.
If there's such a vibrational gap, they can't. You
Mm-hmm.
can't be with them.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what people, that person might be going, well, why did I do that? That wasn't very nice. But something's going on in their vibration that they're just not on the same one you are. Doesn't mean it's worse, doesn't mean it's
No,
better. I'm not judging here. I'm
yes.
just it's different.
Yes, you're right.
It's like
Absolutely.
tuning into the radio station. You tune into an FM station, you're not getting AM, and vice versa. You kind of got to be on the right channel. You're watching TV. Well, you know what? If you want the news, don't watch a music station.
Or if you're sick and tired of the news, you can turn the channel. You have a choice. You don't have to watch that or you don't have to listen to that.
Or you can
You
read a
know,
book
exactly. Yes,
or
your
listen to
book.
a podcast.
Yes, exactly. There's lots of other great alternatives to that. So then what would you say that your purpose is professionally and personally right now?
Well, I think my purpose is to be me,
Mm-hmm.
and I am blessed enough to get downloads from source, call it God, universe, spirit, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I do get actual downloads. Live Life and Wow was a download.
Mm-hmm.
I have a program that I'm going to be introducing soon called Stepping Forward into Conscious Expansion, and
Wow.
that was a download. So I'm very blessed to have that happen to me. And my passion is to just share good stuff, just share as much good stuff as I can, help as many people as I can. I love to give. I think it's as important to give as it is to receive, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's just who I am. I want to help make some more writers become #1 best-selling authors.
Mm.
It's fun to be able to say I'm an 8-time #1 best-selling author now.
Oh, yes.
It's fun to have my own anthology with 14 other fabulous, incredible people. that I'm
Mm-hmm.
so proud and honored to have shared their stories with and
Mm-hmm.
be part of this book. And I'm just can hardly wait for the rest of the books in the series. I don't know how many there'll be. There'll be as many as people who want to trust me with their stories and, work with me and share their stories. And I've discovered I have a knack for helping people bring their stories out. And
Yes,
it's
you do.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
And the book, I've received, many compliments, and it's the stories, but it's also the way it's been put together.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm honored. I'm honored to say that after what, coming close to 16 months, 15 and a half months since we've been published, that we are still in the top 100 in Canada,
Wow.
and in the top 200 in Amazon.com. And on March 10th, I took just for fun, I checked.com. We were number 2 and number 3 in a couple categories
Wow. Congratulations.
15 months. So I'm proud. I'm proud of
Yes.
this. I am proud of what they've written. I'm proud of the way we've shared it. And I just really would love to have everybody reading it.
Wow. That's incredible. So, Deborah, what is your superpower?
I think my superpower is that I seem to have the words come to me for what people need to hear.
Mm-hmm. That's great. That's a
So,
wonderful superpower.
yeah, I think it is. And it's took me a long time to really, trust it.
Mm-hmm.
It's never let me down. Um, so I'm just going with it. And I just have to trust that whatever comes out is what's supposed to come out for those people who need to hear whatever it is.
Yes. We'll
I'm
keep
not
that
going to
going.
say right, wrong, or, I believe we can all find what resonates with us. And I think
Yes.
that's important. I think people need to be discerning
Mm-hmm.
with information, whether the information is coming from, the beyond or it's off the television. I think we need to be discerning.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I agree. So, how would you say that you're living your best life, or as I like to call it, living your best dash?
Well, I'm having good fun meeting so many wonderful people like you, Patty, with, doing your podcast. I'm have been very privileged to be a guest on podcasts and sharing what I know and meeting wonderful people and in the groups that I'm in, and just have made some wonderful friends around the world. I
Mm-hmm.
like being able to support people and connect people where, if I know somebody's doing good work and I can share that and help that person and that person. I love to do those kinds of things. So I just think I'm living my best dash because I'm not as stressed anymore. I'm
Mm-hmm.
I'm just, going with the flow, and I know that I've some way somehow we get looked after.
Yep. So true. So true. Well, are there any final thoughts or words of wisdom that you would like to share with our audience?
Well, I'd like to give a gift to your audience if I may.
Yes, please do.
All right. So for anyone who's listening or watching, if you reach out to me either via LinkedIn, under my name on LinkedIn, or go to my YouTube channel and subscribe, and hopefully like and share if you like some of what's there. Listen to an episode or two and take a screenshot that you've subscribed, and I will get in touch with me, and I will send you a ebook copy of the first Live Life and Wow. Whoops.
Wow.
So I will send you the ebook copy, and like, look at these fabulous authors. Can you see that?
Se
Whoops.
Several of them I know. I actually have that book. And I mean, I'm telling you, it is a book of wow. I mean, every single story. And that's just it. You think, oh, I've got 20 minutes here that I'm gonna, I'm gonna read. Well, you get done with one story and you start, it's like well, I want to hear this story and I want to read this one too. So that's I can see why you're still rated so highly, because that is the way that you have published the book, that you want to keep reading everybody's story. They're
Well, thank you.
fabulous.
Thank you, Patty. I am very proud of it, and I'm proud of the authors. They did a stupendous job. And
Hmm.
so I guess if there's anything I can leave your audience with, it would be to look for the wow. Just
Hmm.
look for it in everything, and you will find it.
Most definitely. Thank you so much, Deborah, for being my guest today. Could you please, I know there's going to be people that want to reach out to you, so please tell everybody how they can connect with you.
Well, again, reach out to me on LinkedIn. If you're on LinkedIn, I've also got my Facebook groups. I've got one called Look for Wow on Facebook. Love to have you join me there. And uh, my website is smashthroughmentor.com. Reach out there. And yeah, there's all kinds of ways to find me. So
Perfect.
reach out.
And And for those of you that you have listened before, or if you're brand new, you know that if you want to get a direct link, go to the descriptions of this podcast episode, and right there you're going to find Deborah's links. You can touch on it right there and instantly get in touch with her. I know that you will want to talk with her and find out how she can help you smash through whatever you need to smash through, or to be able to share your stories of wow as well. Deborah, this has been an absolute joy, and I thank you once again for being here today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Patty. It's been my pleasure. Always love chatting with you.
Yes. Well, for all of you listening out there, remember to subscribe and follow this podcast, and go ahead and invite your family and friends to also subscribe as well. Don't forget to check out my website at www.pathwayswithpatty.org and sign up for a Zoom chat with me if you'd like to be a guest on the show, or if you'd like to receive my free Pathway to a New Beginning roadmap. So until we meet again, continue to live your best dash and know that life's an adventure, and I want you to enjoy the journey because your life matters. Thank you for joining us today, and may God bless you all.